I heard in the
Lions fans.
Oh, Sheila.
in the talk leading up to the draft, Maz and Sam, was that in Brad Holmes we trust. I have an idea of who I want them to take, but I'm at the point where whoever they take, I'm going to be okay with.
We all said that.
Everybody said that.
But we changed our mind.
Clearly. It seems like the Brad Holmes
Is God
is gone.
is gone. A little. Because when you sleep on it, which we did, you come back and you feel a little bit better. I don't think Adam did. But most of us came back, and I think the morning show put a poll out. I think they had like 3,000 votes on it. And I think 67% liked the pick. So that's a pretty good chunk.
I mean, this is a Butkus Award winner for the nation's best linebacker. You obviously have a need for it. He appears to be a Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes type guy where he loves football. I think if you, again, I feel like there's these code words that everybody uses the day after the NFL draft. But again, if you identify that player, if this is somebody that you think will help you, why waste a pick and take a player that you don't think will help you? Maybe I can't remember. Let me pull out my board here, Sam. Let me just say for a second.
Hey, while you're looking at that, the last 10 Butkus winners: Luke Kuechly, Manti Te'o, C.J. Mosley, Eric Kendricks, Jalen Smith, Reuben Foster, when he was down, Roquan Smith, Devin White, who everyone wanted, Nakobe Dean, and Jack Campbell.
Pretty good players.
Pretty good.
Players. The track record there on that award,
It's
what
pretty
is
good.
it, 7 out of 8?
I'd say.
8 out of 10,
Yeah.
something like that. But again, if the Lions, okay, people take Jack Campbell at 34. Fine. Let's just say. But why would you take that player at 34 if you don't think Kalijah Kancey can play for you?
Correct.
If you don't think that you want one of these wide receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, those were the 4 guys that went after him.
Yep.
Deontay Banks. Maybe you don't like Deontay Banks. Why would you take a player that you don't like just because you can get the player you do like later?
Well, I think a lot of us fans are falling into the same, which I'm honestly, I'll admit it, I'm talking to myself as well, where I wouldn't have done that if I were Brad Holmes. We're obviously not Brad Holmes. I would have preferred Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kalijah Kancey, even a guy like Deontay Banks, or maybe even Brian Brzee. I think there's a difference between, saying that you don't trust Brad Holmes anymore to having a little bit of healthy skepticism, which I admit I did. I slept on it. I feel a little bit better. Obviously, Brad Holmes has earned an immense amount of trust just for his first 2 drafts. He has a lot of, leeway. But it's okay to question him a bit. At the end of the day, all of these guys are unknown. Nobody should be pounding the table saying that they're terrible picks, and nobody should guarantee that they're going to be stars. We all have to sort of temper our expectations a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think those are 2 players that can start on the team next year, and that makes me feel better.
I'll tell you, I am not tempering my expectations because I think these 2 players were taken for a very specific reason, because they can come in day one and play.
That's fair.
Absolutely be ballers day one. Guys that have a high football IQ, guys that are fast, guys that have a need to stuff the run. I just think these were the 2 selections for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, if you could have gotten Will Anderson Jr., you would have done it. But
when they passed on Christian Gonzalez, I was like, I guess they're not going to take a corner. And they didn't. I mean, the Patriots got a good player. I think he's going to be very good, and I think it was value at the time that they grabbed him. But they picked 3rd tonight, guys. They are on the board 3rd tonight. You're going to get another terrific player.
We're going to talk about that in just one second. I want to read you what Mel Kiper had on today's ESPN.com. He's got the winners and losers, and as you can imagine, a lot of people scratching their heads over what the Detroit Lions did. He's got them the first loser, the biggest loser in last night's draft.
Sheila.
Here's what he said. I thought I would like the Lions class when they traded down at 6. At the time, they owned picks 12, 18, 34, 48, and 55. But I just don't get these 2 choices. Let's start with Gibbs, a multi-dimensional player who racked up receptions for the Crimson Tide. Look who else was on the board at 12, though. One of the cornerbacks, Christian Gonzalez or Emmanuel Forbes or Deonte Banks, or edge rusher Nolan Smith made more sense to me. Yes, Detroit had a bunch more picks on day 2, but it could have found a running back there instead of 12. As for Campbell, it's a reach 40 spots in my rankings. He's the 3rd ranked inside linebacker. I thought he'd go in the middle of round 2. Instead, when we talk positional value, both of these positions are not generally prioritized in the first round. So this is the very definition of head scratching. The funny thing is, I had Campbell pegged to Detroit at 82 in my 2-round mock draft a couple of weeks ago. There were much better players when Detroit took him. Mel hates it, Maz.
He does. He also did not like the Texans. And I think everyone, well, all of us regular old football fans were like, wow, they got their quarterback, and they got their quarterback on defense as well. They got Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud. To me, that's a haul. Mel didn't like it. He also did not like the Packers, Lucas Van Ness. He didn't like the Falcons, taking Bijan. He didn't like the Raiders, taking Tyree Wilson. So we're in good company. He loved what the Eagles did. So do I. He loved what the Seahawks did. So do I. He liked the Ravens. They got their quarterback finally. They got Lamar Jackson. He liked the Steelers moving up. And he liked the Patriots taking Christian Gonzalez. So he didn't like what we did. But guess what? That's not the first time that Mel didn't like what a team did. And the proof will have to be in the pudding coming up.
Yeah, there is some good company because he said he didn't like what the Houston Texans did. I think you get C.J. Stroud, your franchise quarterback, your edge rush. You get a guy who's your quarterback, a guy who goes after the quarterback in Will Anderson, and you just sign Laramie Tunsil. So to me, the Houston Texans already are a team that is going to at least double their win total from the previous year, maybe even challenge Jacksonville for the division title. And then Bijan Robinson at 8. I actually like that pick.
I know Tyler Algier already.
I understand.
But he's not Bijan.
No, Bijan Robinson, to me, he's a guy that within a couple of years could be the best running back in the NFL. I wouldn't have minded. Well, given that Jalen Carter was there, it's a little bit different. But there was a circumstance where I could have talked myself into wanting Bijan Robinson at 6. I've came all that way. And, of course, the Eagles. Come on now.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. You get arguably the best player in the draft at number 9, and then you get his college teammate in Nolan Smith, and you add those guys to Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, James Bradbury.
Hey,
Darius
Sam,
Slay.
don't end there. You've got Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, and Nakobe Dean last year. You've got 4 starters on Georgia's national championship defense.
Unbelievable.
4 of 11 starters.
The rich get richer.
To be fair, though, I think Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis are relative unknowns, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, they're going to be starting players for the
Absolutely.
Eagles this year, though.
They've got a very, very good blend of star veterans and young players. It's unbelievable.
Did you see their draft room, their war room? They probably had 25 guys in there, all dressed in black suits.
The Eagles?
The Eagles.
Did you see the one guy that was giving fist pumps to everybody, and then the one guy he walks up to is like...
I didn't see that.
He was like, did you see it?
I didn't see that.
Oh, my gosh, it was great. You have to check it out.
They looked terrific. They did. We had a few guys in our war room. It didn't look like the Eagles' war room, though. That's a team they're playing with house money. Won the Super Bowl 7 years ago, runner-up last year, Jalen Hurts. The rich get richer.
Yeah, the Eagles got better last night. I thought Seattle.
Boy, they know how to draft.
Seattle with Devon Witherspoon and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that team is a dark horse. I don't want to say Super Bowl contender.
They're making the playoffs again.
But if you make the playoffs in the NFC, you're a Super Bowl contender because there really does seem to be one team right now. I cannot tell you that San Francisco, they don't even know who their quarterback is. And if
Darnold.
it is Sam Darnold, I will tell you they're not winning that division.
There's a lot of people that like Darnold.
And that's fine. I don't. It's just my opinion. Maybe he'll prove me wrong.
He's Jared Goff light.
I don't believe that, but that's fine.
For the record, Baz, I'm higher on Sam Darnold than most as well. I think calling him Jared Goff light right now is a little bit extreme, but I get what you're saying. Because he hasn't shown enough. He's had the Jets situation.
He's put in a situation like Goff.
Best situation
Just go
he's
run the team.
Best situation he's ever been in by a mile.
Yes.
Much better than the Jets and the Carolina Panthers.
Go run the team.
The Seahawks, though, I agree. Jackson Smith and Jigba, adding him to a wide receiver core that has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Wow.
And then what if Devon Witherspoon becomes what Tariq Woolen was last year for them? And now you have your corners of the future, your lockdown corners of the future on rookie deals. They're definitely in play to maybe win that division next year. I'd still put the 49ers as the favorites, but the quarterback situation is in flux.
Seattle's catching up.
Shoot.
Legion of Boom 2 is coming.
That's actually a very, very good point.